What's up, Milk Cat? Hello, everyone. Dubious, Empress, Scotch Kitty, how you doing? How you doing? Welcome, welcome, 02. How you going? How you going? What's up, Night Racer? What's happening? You know, that's a good question. We're just listening to some CAT to start off the stream, you know. Honey Drop, how you doing? Welcome on in. I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole today. So there's more stuff than I was expecting. And yeah, we're gonna talk about some fun stuff today, or maybe you all just hate everything about this, in which case it's still a win-win for me. Are you going to talk about Pathfinder? Potentially, and by potentially I mean a little bit, yes. Oh, there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. How y'all doing? I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday. I wanted to do 5th edition this weekend instead of what we're doing today, but I didn't have enough time to finish reading up on it because I was reading up on Daggerheart instead. So next week might be Daggerheart instead of 5th edition because I was reading Daggerheart, and then I also read 2 rule books this morning. So if my thoughts are jumbled, it's because I've been speed reading like a demon the last day or so. Let's get on in here. What's up, everyone? How you doing? I love this album. This was such a good album. All right, well, welcome on in, everyone. Night Racer, Honey, Zero, Unlucky, everyone else who I already welcomed in. How you doing? How you doing? I see the poll results are a little skewed. Most people think that there are 15 plus. Well, actually, I shouldn't say most. The majority still, there are less than 15 books, with the biggest ones being the biggest group of people thinking there's more than 15, or there's 10 to 15, or there's 1 to 5, you know. There's some nice diversity in the poll today, and we're gonna get into that because the answer might surprise you. It surprised me. I mean, I found a new system this morning that I didn't even know existed last night. I was just, you know, I was doing my usual research. It's slightly confusing that the poll results aren't visible. Really? They're not? After making a choice? Oh, you guys can't see that? That's interesting. Huh. Well, that does feel like something you should be able to see. I don't know why you can't. Yo, what's up, Dingo? How you doing? Happy to finally catch a stream again. Well, we're happy to have you again. This is maybe not the stream you would have wanted to catch, but it's the stream we're talking about. You usually could. That's why I'm a bit confused. Oh, interesting. But before we hop into today, most of you can probably guess what we're going to be talking a lot about today. We're going to be talking about the My Little Pony role-playing systems, and I do say systems because we're going to be talking about 3 of them. Because yes, there are 3 of them. Actually, there's more, but we're talking about the 3 main ones. And this is just as part of our ongoing discussion and my own personal journey of researching basically every system under the sun to see what I would do and how I would do it differently. Because I think for any like game system, there is always something to be learned. And it's kind of what I look for in an RPG system is how easy is the system to learn? What was the idea behind this? Yo, what's up, Small and Strong? what was the idea behind this? I've played the system, Ame. I'm starting. So, okay, for those of you who are new, this is kind of a new thing we're doing, by the way. This is kind of a new thing we're doing. The last couple weeks, usually about once every week or once every other week, I kind of run through a system that I have played extensively and kind of try and pitch it to you guys and be like, hey, this is what makes this system great. This is what makes this system kind of suck. You know, as we're just exploring a whole bunch of topics and trying to like really get a feel for what I will use to make my own system later this year. That's kind of the whole thought process behind doing all this. Also, Small, I don't think we've ever talked, but I loved your stuff. But anyways, so that's kind of the whole thought process. We've already done Pathfinder First Edition. Last week we did Anima Beyond Fantasy. Today we're doing MLP. Next week we're doing either 5th Edition or Daggerheart, and then the week after we'll do the other one. And then I've got a whole, like, okay, here's just some other systems that I want to do. World of Darkness, Blades in the Dark, Shadowrun. There's so many systems, and there's so many cool ways of playing RPGs, and I kind of want to just explore them all. So that's what we're doing today. Your VTuber looks like a pirate-themed Kung Fu cat master. I've never heard that one before. That's pretty. That's pretty good. Okay. Let's see. What is on my little notebook of stuff to talk about? Fun fact, dingoes can move their limbs in 180 degrees, so dingoes can move their head like an owl. That is crazy, actually. With Palladium, the mechanics apparently change per book because each book is self-contained. Interesting. Oh, Cairn? Cairn is another one that people have said. Oh, Marvel, Dungeon World, Numenera. I've played Mutants and Masterminds. I played so many systems. That's kind of why we're gonna go over one each week, and hopefully, you know, people will kind of learn what they want to give a shot, what they want to try. But I do think for every system there are lessons to be learned. Let's also get off the Cat album right now. Let's you know, Beachside Bliss has been pretty great today, or this month, so we're gonna do that. Let's see, other announcements. Oh, Ray Leach is done, guys. Well, her ref sheet, not her model. The model work is going to begin sometime soon, so that's going to be cool. Can't wait to show you guys her full model. Members have already seen it. That's a shameless plug for becoming a member. And we're going to start working on our next music album. So we haven't done as much with the music this year, mostly because I had to pour a lot of it into Ray Leach. But we will have new music coming out soon. 11 out of 10 design. It's so good. It's so good. There was actually, so I figured out because some members know when we were talking about Ray Leach, there's one part of her design that was like driving me crazy. And I was like, why can't I, like, what is wrong here? It's so good. It's so good. And I figured out what it was, and then I was like, oh, wait, we can't actually change this because of copyright shenanigans. It was one of the symbols. It was one of the symbols. And after I realized which one it was, because I'm like, why is this off? Why is this off? There was a symbol I wanted to put on, but Will decided not to for copyright reasons. And yeah. How many books of what? The RPG we're talking about today, which I'm going to give you guys a little hint. If you haven't figured it out already, we're talking about the My Little Pony game today. Well, 3 of them. There are 3 of them. Is it Warhammer? I would honestly not be surprised if there was a Warhammer variant of these games. For some reason, people love mashing My Little Pony with like grim dark settings, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of into it. It's kind of funny. It's actually pretty funny. So little birdie told me Honeykin is a big fan of MLP. Really? Wait, hold on. Should I? Oh, wait, is Honey awake? I should message her. Just be like, hey, Honey, do you want to learn about My Little Pony right now? Ame, thank you so much for becoming a bite buddy. I appreciate it. Oh, it shows it on both streams. That's so cool. Thank you. Thank you. I might have to message Honey and be like, hey, Honey, do you want to we'll see. But I'm sure many of you, by the way, thank you so much for becoming a member. It helps out way more than you know. And it lets me buy ridiculous RPGs to show off to people. Because believe it or not, I actually own all of the RPGs, or at least a book of all of the RPGs I'm about to show off today. So, thank you. It lets me afford doing this. All right, but I'm gonna answer some questions that you guys probably are asking of why MLP in particular. It's because I played it, first of all, but also I have a whole thing ready to show you why. Do you ever play D&D campaigns with your members or chat? We're working on that. I have some ideas for it. I want to start doing it, but I want to do it my way. So it's in the works, but I'm not gonna make any promises about that right now. Also, we're gonna end the poll. So poll results say that you guys thought that there are 40% of you thought that there were 15 plus books. Well, congratulations. You are in fact very correct. I don't know the exact number, but there's like 70, and 2/3 of them are by the one, like the same guy. Will you cover the Power Rangers RPG later down the line? I actually want to do the RPG or the Power Rangers one, but I want to bring on Roy, because Roy is the biggest Power Rangers like buff that I know, and it would be really fun to show him the Power Rangers RPG. I haven't actually looked at it. I know a couple of them exist, but I want to show him that. And yes, Tunis, there are really. So okay, what I'm not talking about is when I say there's 30 plus books, I don't just mean, oh, there's the 5th edition, there's the 4th edition, there's, you know, whatever editions, because those are all the same to me, right? Like, to me, those are all the same. What I'm talking about is 30 plus separate books, like campaign settings, new races, new classes, all that stuff. Like, it's actually insane. So let's hop over. We're gonna start off as we usually do, of talking about the pros and cons of various games. So obviously, I did not mean to do that. Oh wait, how do I put you back? Don't mind me, I'm just messing with everything. Okay, are we back? Did I fix it? Okay, we fixed it. Okay. Oops, I need to move this over because this is not in the right spot now. So I have to make sure that everything's synced up on the main streams. What's up, Boop? How you doing? We are talking about role-playing games today, specifically the My Little Pony one. Why? Because there's actually a lot of fun stuff with it. And keep in mind, there are 3 of these. I'm going to be talking about the one that I've played the most, which is called Tales of Equestria. And yes, that is its actual name. And you'll have to deal with my really crappy writing, so you're just going to have to deal with it. All right, so usual, we'll start off with pros, and we'll go with cons. And I'm only gonna do this for this first one, at least in this form. I'll talk about the others as we go over them, but this is the one that like I said, I've spent the most time. Actually, we're gonna cons. You're now over here. Chicken scratch game. Well, it's because my tablet broke, and I don't want to buy a new one just to do these types of streams. I might though. Which is the MLP where the ponies are humans? I don't actually remember, but this one is made by River Horse. It's literally just you're the ponies, you're running around, you're doing stuff. Your ponies being a pony game. Like it's really not more complicated than that. That's all it is. Oh, Equestria Girls. That's the one you're thinking of. Broken Tablet said, well, I mean, the tablet was really, really old, so it's not like a big loss. Like it was one of the first tablets that came out and it broke. But okay, so here's the pros of it. This is probably the most rules light system I have ever played. This is literally, not figuratively, literally built so children can play it and understand it. This is not like I can't exaggerate how easy this system is to pick up. I think like any child 4 or above could probably fix this. Dropping right by to drop a little quick like on my break. Have fun, everyone. Thanks, Durs. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it. But it's rules light. I'm gonna put this under pro. It's an established fandom. If you're into the fandom, congratulations. You know, that's a big pro for a lot of other people. Other pros is, along with being rules light, this is not a this is not a D20 system. It's just a dice system. For every action, you just roll a single dice. So for example, let's say that you are playing an earth pony in this system and you have a body that is a D10. If the GM needs you to make a body skill check, you roll a D10 because that is what your body is. If someone has a D4 as a body, they roll a D4. So everything is just based off of the size of the dice, which is a con we'll get into, but it's super simple. Every skill is just its own dice. You get new skills all the times. And it's great. I know that I should probably write more pros than rules light in a fandom, but that's kind of all you need. Like this thing is just, it's so simple. Oh, and it encourages role play, which should be self-explanatory because the game is not really about combat, though you can make it about combat. It definitely lends itself towards more of a, hey, let's go on an adventure, let's talk to some new people, let's make some new friends. Like it's the My Little Pony game. You got to expect certain themes. Now, does that mean that you can't do other stuff with it? Oh ho, boy howdy, can you do other stuff with it. You can do a lot of other stuff with it. Like you can start adding machine guns and stuff, and the rules are surprisingly, you know, they kind of work for whatever you want to throw at it. It's pretty robust. The cons are, this is not meant to be like a long-term play thing. Like I'm just gonna put an X through it. It is not meant to be long-term. And this is actually a very common problem with rules light systems, at least in my experience, is that the rules light systems aren't really built to do longer campaigns. Often they have a pretty quick progression system. You get powerful very, very fast, and you tend to be as powerful as you're ever going to get very early on, unless you are intentionally nerfing yourself. So just as an example, in this system, every time you level up, you get to increase one of your attribute dice. There's body, mind, and heart, I think are the three. So like, let's say that starting off, the highest you can have is a D6. So if you level up, you can turn it into a D8, and then a level again, it's a D10, and then again, it's a D12, and then it's a D20, and that's kind of the cap. So within 5 levels, you have reached your cap. And this is true for a lot of skills. And that's not the only skill that you're leveling up at the same time. So it's really not built to be long-term unless you added in a whole bunch of house rules. But that is the nice thing about rules light systems. If you just want to force make it into a longer campaign, guess what? You can hack it. It's easy homebrew, like super, super easy homebrew. And in fact, the group that I played with, that's what we did a lot of, is we homebrewed it quite a bit. And I think we played through 2 campaigns. And it was just kind of it was a very relaxed, like whatever. I really like the system because, not because necessarily it was pony themed, but the idea behind this system, the rules light systems are applicable to anything. Like I could straight up just yoink this and apply it to any setting and it would kind of work. It doesn't really need to be pony themed. It's the rule that's the power of rules light systems. They take a general idea, they make it easy to digest, and that in turn makes it really easy to apply to a whole bunch of other different situations. It's like if you wanted to keep just the 3 stats, you could. If you wanted to, you know, add it in so that you can only level up 1 stat every X amount of times, or you can add even on more things. Like leveling up just means you get to roll an extra support dice or something like that. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with it. I'm a big fan of one-shots that can interconnect. So someone actually made a comment about that because I put out a short yesterday or something. I put out a short recently that talked about what I think is the ideal length of a campaign, which is anywhere from 1 to 4 sessions. And someone commented and was like, hey, that's how our longest campaign started. It started as a one-shot. And I'm like, yes, exactly. That's great. Because one-shots are such a nice digestible format to bring new people in. They're only committing to 1 session. If it's not their thing, they can leave. You can try it with new people. But if people really like the characters that are playing, you can always continue that story. And I've heard a lot of people talk about how that is how some of their longest run games start, is with 1 session that was supposed to be a one-off, but everyone was just so invested that they kept it going. I think that's fantastic. And honestly, I think that this RPG system in particular, like I said, I would change the theme because obviously not everyone's into running around as ponies. That's fine. But this system in particular, I think is a great way to show people, especially in a single session format, of here's how role-playing kind of works. And if you like this, we can adapt this to something different. As a GM, I'm also a huge fan of rules light systems because my biggest pet peeve, actually it's not even a pet peeve, my biggest problem with being a DM is how much work I have to put in just to make encounters function correctly. And that's mostly due to the systems that I've played, the number 1 being Pathfinder. But in rules light systems, I don't have to put in as much effort. I can just do cool stuff and make the rules bend to what I need them to, rather than sit down for a half hour to stat out a boss that might just get one shot by the party anyways. I'm a bigger fan of the narrative storytelling aspect of RPGs than the numbers aspect, which is kind of funny because I feel like I used to be the opposite, where I don't think I was ever really a power gamer. Like I wasn't trying to break rules systems, but I was trying to, get the biggest bang for my buck out of my character And, you know, if I had a build in mind, I would do whatever I needed to make it work. But these days I'm like, I kind of just want to be a character. I want to do in character things, and I will build my character to make sure it's functional, so it's not a detraction from the party. But otherwise, it's all character first these days. So just interesting. But as for other cons, not much content. If you're playing the Tales of Equestria system specifically, not too much content. Not too much content. You will, even though it's easy to do everything from scratch, you will have to do everything from scratch because it just doesn't exist. I mean, there's a lot of forum posts. There's a lot of, you know, there's a surprisingly large community based around this that you can pull from. But for the most part, you're going to be doing a lot of stuff that is manual. You're going to have to do it yourself. That's kind of it for the, like, it's pretty easy pros and cons. There's not, when it's simple, like this simple systems, you don't really have to think too much about it. You have any tips for accidentally metagaming when you know what is going to be happening during a campaign? Just don't. Like, always ask, would your character know this? Like, because metagaming, I think, is unfortunately impossible to fully ignore unless you're like a professional D&D player, right? Most people, without realizing it, will kind of do some metagame shenanigans, especially during combat. Combat is combat's something special because everyone wants to think tactically because it's built to be tactical. And I think that there are times where meta gameplay is fine. Like in combat, I think it's fine to be meta as long as you're not like using outside knowledge of like, oh, I know the boss probably has these 3 spells because I've, you know, fought liches before, so I'm going to do this. It's like, well, if your character doesn't know that, don't use that knowledge. Just have them run in like they would, or have them cast the spell that they were going to, you know? It's really just comes down to player discipline at that point. If you're gonna meta, like, if you want to metagame, you're going to metagame, and there's not really anything you or the GM can do, or the GM can do about it. It's just, it's all up to you having the self-restraint to just not do that. So that's my thoughts on metagaming. You can also use stuff from MLP to the game, MLP Gen 1 to the game. True. But let's take a quick look. Also, by the way, I want to hold on. I want to show you guys something. I only downloaded how many musical numbers per session? At least 4. At least 4. You know, if I was a GM running this and people burst into a musical number, I would give them bonus points for doing it. I would be impressed. Okay, let's take a look here at doop-a-doop-a-doo. So I don't think there's an actual PDF of this. So we're gonna have to do with someone's scanned version of a PDF, and it's gonna look really scuffed. But I don't feel too bad about using this because I did buy this. I do own this, the actual book. So here we go. That should have, that did not. There we go. That swapped it over. Oh, I apparently need to scooch over a little bit for the short stream. So this is what the book looks like. You will notice a drastic up level in quality as we talk about some of the newer stuff. But this was the OG. This was the original one. This is licensed with Hasbro. This is a real thing. This really happened. The Tales of Equestria, and this has a couple splat books. And you know what's funny is I really like this distinction in the title. It's the storytelling game. It's not the role-playing game. Also, wait, you should be over here. There we go. Much better. It's not the storytelling game, it's the role-playing game, or not the role-playing game, the storytelling game, because that's pretty much more or less what it is. This system is built to tell stories with friends. That's all it really is. Also, 1 second. I think I have like some allergies kicking up. It's wrecking me. MLP feels like a show that came out in the mid 90s. I mean, kinda, yeah. When did it come out? Early 2000s, right? I think so. Or was it 2010? Oh gosh, it was 2010. So long ago. So long ago. Oh, it is what it is. But here's the glorious system. It uses all the nice official artwork. Overall, this book is like, I mean, it's okay. I love that for older readers, it gives you a educational benefit of storytelling and role-playing games. You can really tell that this was geared towards like kids. This was geared towards teaching kids how to play RPGs. And you know, that's great. All right, JSS, that's enough of that. Hopefully Applejack is in this. She's hilarious. I don't know. She probably is. I assume she is. Also, I think my chat broke for a second there. There we go. We're just gonna time them out. Okay, anyways, moving on. So yeah, this system is, you can tell that it's definitely geared towards kids, but there's nothing really wrong with that. Like I said, it's a great introduction to role-playing systems. It tells you exactly what you need. Here is the character sheet. Like, okay, so the character sheet really shows just how simple we're talking here. Like, you have a name, you have your player name, you have whatever type of pony you are, you have whatever level you are, your elements of harmony, which is, you know, you just pick one, how many tokens you have, and then you literally have just stamina, your body, mind, oh, charm, that's what it was. I thought it was heart, it was charm, and then your talents and quirks. That's the whole character sheet. That's it. It's a one-page thing. Literally takes, you know, 5 minutes to build a character from start to finish without knowing anything about the system. Super easy, super simple. But I'm into this. I like the simplicity. I think if you like restructure this to look a little bit, you know, more normal and not just super cutesy, people will be like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. Or like you rename some of the elements. Like, this is a very easy template to just yoink and twist. You know, if, like, let's say you're in like a World of Warcraft campaign, you can change element of harmony to, you know, whatever faction you're a part of. Or, you know, talents and quirks are like feats and features. Like, you can literally just warp this to be whatever you need and it works perfectly. Here's all the dice that you use. Like I said, it just uses a dice system. You roll whatever the dice tells you. You don't even add anything to the rolls. That's how simple this is. Because like there's a lot. One of the systems we'll actually get into is you roll the dice and then you add numbers to it. But this one is quite literally, you just roll the dice. So it's as simple as it can get. Though I will say one of the fun parts of this system in particular is, let's say that you need to roll a 10 to pass a skill check, right? Like you need to jump over a chasm and the DM decides you need to roll a 10. Well, what if your body or your jump is only a D6, right? If you roll and you roll the maximum number on a dice, you roll again, but it's the dice above it now. And that can keep going all the way up to a D20, which I think is really, really funny. Because that has happened in a session where it's like, oh, I need to pass a 12 and I have a D4. Well, I rolled a 4, which means now I get to roll a D6. Oh, I rolled a 6. It means I get to roll a D8. oh, I got an 8, I get to roll a d10. Oh, I rolled a 10, I get a d12. And like, it's crazy. That is something that I do enjoy, because basically you're never truly like, you never can't do anything. It's just extremely unlikely. And I like systems like that where it's like, yeah, you can do it. The hardest part of a session 0 is building new NPCs with newer people. Yeah, no, that is the hardest part. I do genuinely think that if you can get character creation down to something simple, that anyone can do it in like 10 to 15 minutes, your system is so good. What's up, Zen? Oh, hi. You stream on Shorts now? Yeah, I stream on both. I'm streaming to regular and both at the same time. So you'll see me on both. You can't get rid of me. You can't escape me. Actually, is the short still showing up? It is. Nice. It's still working. Awesome. But yeah, so it's very simple. It had a few starter. I think it only had one beginner adventure. This game really did not survive for a very long time. I think it got like 2 books, maybe 3, and then they just never did anything else with it, which honestly is probably fine. At the time this came out, they're probably just trying to cash in on the My Little Pony craze, and you know what? It worked. It did just fine. We're probably not going to look at the whole book. I'm just going to show over some things. Like, it shows you what type of, like, how you can build ponies. It shows you how you can build, like, what stamina is. So in this game, you don't have hit points, you have stamina, which is whenever you fail a task, you lose stamina. Was this a one-off thing? This one was kind of a one-off thing. There's not a whole lot that's for this system in particular. There's a ton for other systems, which we'll get into. But one thing I also like, and this is actually something that I think a lot of people have seen in new RPGs, is this, they're kind of doing away with the idea of hit points, and they're doing stuff like stress or stamina, where if you fail at things, it's not that you're taking damage, it's you're taking stress or you're taking stamina loss. So in this system, stamina is essentially your hit points. If you fail at something, you lose some stamina. If you, basically, whether it's fighting or maybe talking and failing hard enough might make you lose a stamina or something. Which honestly, I do kind of think that hit points are a little bit of an outdated system at this point in time. I know it's still very popular for a lot of games, but I like the idea that hit points or whatever, you know, is actually your, like, your health pool isn't this set number that has to scale with power. Like, because like my biggest problem with HP is usually in games like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder, or any game where your HP scales with your level, because I feel like all that does is encourage high level play to just be one-shot territory. I much prefer it if it's like, oh, you take a stress or you take a hit. Like, so taking a hit still matters, but it's not so bad that at high level play you just get one shot. Now, like, you could take multiple stress or multiple stamina damage for one thing. That's like how it's a higher level monster, but it's still not just going to kill you. I'm a huge proponent is not the right word. What's the opposite of proponent? I hate one-shot systems. I will never have those in a system that I am making, because I hate the idea, because it's happened to me way too many times, that a character can just die for a single bad turn. Pathfinder is a huge portion of this. Anima was the worst offender. If I roll really low and the thing that's hitting me rolls really high, I just die. There's nothing I can do to mitigate that. And it feels so bad. I never like dying to a one-shot mechanic. Am I alone in that? Do other people feel that way? I just feel like if there's no counterplay, what's the point? It just sucks. Now, I don't mind if it's like a story moment, right? Or if it's an active choice that I made that got me to the point where I would die in one hit. Like, let's say, you know, I'm a little peasant out in a field and I see a giant red dragon and I go try and poke it with my, you know, trite, with my spear or something. And then it just eats me. That's on me. That's my fault. But if I'm like a high level adventurer and the dragon is supposed to be, you know, a tough challenge for me, but something I can fight, and then it just eats me anyways, that doesn't feel good. That just doesn't feel good. So one-shot mechanics, I'm not a fan of. And I love systems like this one, like Blades in the Dark, like a couple others, even like Daggerheart, that don't enforce that mentality. They let you actually have a fight or be able to do multiple things. I think another big thing about why one-shots in particular are so bad is because it removes your agency to try new things. It stops you from being able to try out your abilities against a challenge that is more difficult than you expected. And I like players being able to try and figure things out. It's like, oh, I tried to attack with my sword, but it turns out it's really resistant to your sword attack. If it one-shots you at that point, you never had a chance to try any of your other abilities. Whereas if, you know, you try your sword and it hits you, you still get hit, but you have a chance to try something new now. I like games that give you the option of trying and trying again, trying all your different abilities to find what works. I think that's really great. But anyways, moving on. So talents, this is an MLP specific thing. You pick a talent or your pony. It's supposed to be your special thing. Yeah. Oh wait, there actually was there was a second book of this. I'm remembering because they added in changelings and stuff. Yeah, they added a couple other races to this. I forgot. But quirks are literally just, you give quirks to your character and it's literally just like, oh, I'm scared of the dark, or oh, I do X, Y, and Z. Quirks don't necessarily have super big gameplay things, but they're just kind of there. Now, one system that I think a lot of people probably don't like is the concept of hero points. I don't remember if they are a thing in 5th edition. It's been a little too long. Anyone who is an avid 5th edition player, do you have a system like hero points where you get like out of trait or out of combat resource that you can like spend a point to like re-roll or add +4 to a roll or all this other stuff? I know it's an optional rule in Pathfinder. I don't remember if it's a thing in 5th edition. If it is, please, someone please speak up and let me know. I know some people really like the system. Some people really hate the system. I'm kind of in the middle. 5e as hero points is an optional feature where you get a d6 bonus to any attack or check. Okay, that's interesting. I'm kind of okay with it. But so in this system, you basically get a friendship token every level, or if you do stuff that the GM decides that they reward you with, and you can use them to do a couple things. You can re-roll a dice. You can so you can re-roll the dice that you have. You can roll with a d20, or if you pay 3 tokens, you can just automatically succeed. Which I think is an interesting idea. I bet people probably aren't as excited with the whole you can spend 3 tokens to essentially just do a thing and succeed at it. I kind of am actually a bit of a fan of it personally. I think that, and keep in mind, so you have your own tokens, but you can always give tokens to other people to help them do things. Uh-oh. Hello? Are we back? I think my stream died for a second. Are we back? Are we good? Someone type in chat if we're back. Okay, we're back. Okay, good. My internet connection dropped for a second. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. But like I was saying with the tokens you can use between people, so you can auto succeed and stuff. I actually kind of liked them because they turned into a resource that was, you know, we really want to try and do this crazy thing. And the GM was like, okay, you can do that, but instead of 3 tokens, it'll be 4. And so we did it, and it was all about building this really cool story. And I like this. I don't know. I like it because, again, if we're going back to what we talked about earlier, in systems where you don't have instant one-shot mechanics, I actually think that auto succeeding at one thing is fine. Like, whether it's like, oh, you really need to get the final hit off on the boss, or you need to try and save against a really deadly poison or things like that, I think that those are fun story moments. I don't think that's bad. I genuinely think it's kind of fun. Because, you know, we've all been in a group where you're fighting a big boss, it's back and forth, and everyone's getting really low. And then someone finally rolls like a super awesome hit to kill the boss in a really cinematic way. Like maybe they jumped off the roof knowing that they were going to plunge to their death probably, but they're going to gouge the boss's head off with their sword and die in the attempt, and it's super heroic and it's awesome and stuff like that. I would totally allow someone to spend tokens to like make that automatically succeed. I think that's really cool. That's a really fun story beat. So I don't necessarily think that auto successes are a bad thing to have, especially if it's a limited resource. And then it also if you're giving out the tokens, you know, over time, because then it kind of encourages your players to try some crazy stuff, knowing that they have one bit of a safety net. I think that that's a good decision. Here it just has the world map, is what it is. These are just types. We don't really need to cover a bunch of this. This is pretty standard My Little Pony shenanigans. That's really it. It's a very simple system. It's just good. Here, oh, I don't know why this part's zoomed in. Like, here's some of the difficulty charts. So like very easy is 2, hard as a 6, you know, and things scale up. Because keep in mind, if all you're rolling is a single dice, a difficulty of 6 is actually kind of hard, even if you have a D12. That means you're not doing it like you're failing as often as you're succeeding, which I think is very interesting, you know. And I don't know, I think it's good. I really like how this system turned out. It's very rules light. It's a great introduction to RPGs. It's pretty well, you know, written out. It is cheesy, but I mean, like, it's built for kids. It's literally built for kids. So that's fine. Here, but yeah, this is just got some nice artwork. It's really cute. Not the biggest book. Oh, you also have, I forgot, they have a dice chart. So if you don't have a dice to roll, I forgot about this. They printed off dice charts. Oh, this was so great. So it's just these pages of dice where literally you're just supposed to close your eyes and then, you know, tap a point on the paper, and that's what you roll. I actually am such a huge fan of this. Like, it's so silly, but it kind of works. We used this for a session once. It's just kind of fun. You know, if you don't have a dice, you just close your eyes and then point somewhere on the paper, and it's like, oh, I'm pointing at a 19. I guess I rolled a 19. Just, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I thought this was pretty great. The super game that I was in, we had a hero point system, but I mainly used it as a way to show how super you can be by allowing for a reroll when using your powers in a way that using isn't written. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I forgot that they had these dice charts. That's so funny. It's like there's a D20, D12, D10, D8, D6, D4. I wonder how good these actually are. This would actually be kind of fun to try in like a real setting. Of course, there are people who can memorize these tablets and can land on the high numbers on command. Oh yeah, sure. But like, if you're trying to cheat, like as a GM, okay, you know what? This is going to be I can tell this is going to be a short right here. As a GM, there's not a whole lot you can do about people cheating. Like it's not on you to stop the cheaters. You can try, but like people who want to cheat are just going to do it. And you can either call them out on it and have them leave your group because you don't want that in here. You can explain to them why cheating is bad, or you can watch them like a hawk, which just kind of feels like you're being an overbearing person at that point. Now, sometimes people just like to cheat because they just want to win. And maybe they don't think that losing or not being the coolest person in the party can be fun, but it absolutely can be. Yeah. Imagine being the dude that cheats in a My Little Pony game. That is such a sick burn right there. That actually would be painful. Like they're really, I personally don't concern myself with cheating because I'm here to tell a story. I don't really want to have to ruin the fun of my game by trying to pay attention to your cheating. Like that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to tell a story. If you're not here to tell that same story, like, look, that's a conversation we can have. We can have that conversation, but like, I'm not going to focus on it. Just don't cheat. It ruins your fun. The only person that gets hurt by your cheating is you. Like literally, it's just you. It's a you problem. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's it. That's it for the Tales of Equestria game. I'm going to talk about a new one that I came across today. Oops, did I accidentally close it? I might have closed it. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about the next one. The next one I found is one made by a different studio. I actually didn't know that this one existed this morning. I had to research this because I was Googling around. I was trying to find PDFs to show off. And this one came out of nowhere. And it's made by Renegade, which is actually like a bigger studio, which I thought was fascinating personally. However, I have some thoughts about this one. Let me just swap over real quick to the browser. There you go. So this is the My Little Pony game made by Renegade, who has made a couple other games. And as you'll see by this one, we're not going to go through the whole thing. But I'm just going to show you some things. This is another simplified system, or at least that's what I thought it was until I actually looked into it. We're just going to flip through some pages. This book is actually like really nicely made, probably because it's made by, you know, a studio that has done this before. But it looks nice. It's got nice art. It's got some nice introduction. This uses a D20 system, still simplified, but it uses a D20. It's called, what do they call it? They call it the Essence 20 system. You only have 4 stats. You roll with a d20 to succeed or fail at things. But this adds in all the other dice back in. It's like, oh, to do damage, to judge effects and stuff like this. It's kind of funny because this is this system is so fascinating because, like I said, I just like super read through this book earlier this morning to see what the core basis of it is. And this system is basically if you took Dungeons and Dragons and simplified it way down. You only have 4 stats. Ability scores kind of work similarly to how they do in D&D. You, for almost every check, you roll a d20 and add your essence score, which is modified by like choosing your character, choosing an origin, choosing skills. However, I do want to show you one point. Choosing influences. Influences give you cool abilities, but they also give you flaws, which I thought was interesting. So just there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, but this really does start to feel. I want to get to a specific page in here because I was looking at something. Yep, there we go. Okay, so anyone who's played Pathfinder or D&D, it's the chart. The level chart. Oh my gosh, I hate these things. I used to love them, but okay, you want to know what the level chart symbolizes to me? The level chart symbolizes way too much complexity for a character. If you have to, like, let's say you want to make a level 8 spirit of generosity in this case. You have to go level by level, adding up all your scores, adding all your little different perks, adding all this. It's just, I'm so tired of doing that. I'm actually just exhausted from leveling up characters in RPG systems by referencing charts. I think we are so over that as a like progression system. I think we need new stuff. And there's a lot of systems that have new stuff. I really like systems where it's just, oh, you leveled up, you get this, and you get this. You don't need to reference a chart to determine what your bonuses should be at X, Y, and Z. If you're level 7, you know, oh, I should pick 7 of these things, and 7 of these things, and 7 of these things, and you're done. That's it. That's all you should need to be able to do to build a character. I really dislike level charts at this point. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just being picky. Maybe I'm just being whiny. That's entirely possible. But I'm so tired of using level charts to figure out what my character does. I know that they were a staple in a lot of games. They still are a staple in a lot of games. But I'm just tired of it. I'm so tired. Ugh. Save me. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about this one too much. This is a pretty standard D20 plus roll system. Art's nice. Layout's nice. This feels like a major step up over the original book, which is the one that we were just looking at. Like, everything's laid out nice. It's got nice art. Even the charts are okay. Things are organized in a good way. Talks about the different types of skills. Talks about specializations. And the nice thing about this one that I noticed is there is a lot of skills that have alternate advanced rules. There's a lot of those in this book. So if you wanted to just build a system or like play a game in this system, you can add more complexity to it without needing to homebrew too much stuff. I really like that. I don't know, it's just good. Also, it has a fun, one of its other fun system is what it's called shift. So for skills, you roll dice. Like if you make an acrobatics roll, you do a Like let's say you have a D6 acrobatics, you roll the D6, but if you have something that applies a shift, you increase the dice size or decrease the dice size. So for some reason, the DM's like, you know, shift up 2, instead of rolling a D8, you'd roll a D12, which is kind of a cool idea. I'm kind of a big fan of systems that will let you use dice instead of just straight numbers, and will let you increase or decrease the dice, or just roll more dice. I'm always a big fan of those systems. Like, I know Blades in the Dark does this, but like, let's say you need to roll a 5 to succeed, and you have a skill that has, you know, you've got 4 ranks in a skill. 4 ranks in a skill just means you roll 4 dice and you take the highest one. So it's a much higher chance that you will actually roll what you need to, which I think is awesome. So again, this system, I kind of wish that I had tried this before. I've not played this. Like I said, I just discovered this morning, but honestly, it's got a lot of complexity. It's pretty good. I actually think that this is not bad. And the crazy thing about this is there's actually several books that are out with this system in particular. So it's not just, oh, you just have the core book, you have some adventures and stuff that you can go on. And I think one of them is even like an addition. There's like magic items, there's crafting, there's like good equipment and stuff. Like, it's just, this very much feels like it was made by a company that knows how to make RPG systems. They did it very well. I think that they deserve some praise for this. Even if it's a little bit too close to some the D&D for my tastes, I do think there's a lot that it leans on in that respect. But overall, like if Tales of Equestria was like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 for rules light, this is probably like a 6 for what I would say is like a standard role play system. And again, that's my judgment call based off of only reading the book but not actually having played it, because I do think there's a lot of value in actually sitting down and playing a game, because what can seem great on paper can feel absolutely terrible when you actually start to play it. Actually, I have a perfect example of that. Okay, I know Daggerheart is kind of my punching bag recently, but I'm going to talk about it. So, an idea that sounds really great on paper, but personally I have issue with, is whenever the GM has to come up with something on the spot based off of dice rolls. And you know why that's a problem is because that means I can't really plan for it. I can plan for some things, like if I know they're going to be doing an encounter, like where they're fighting ghosts and stuff, I can plan some stuff for like, okay, well, if they roll this or if they roll this, then this can happen. But specifically, Daggerheart system has a hope and fear system. So you can succeed with hope or you can fail with fear. And whenever you fail with fear, the GM gets more resources to throw more things at you, which on paper sounds cool. Like, oh, it's a constant tug of war of like, if you succeed but something bad still happens, or if you fail but something good still happens. There's a lot of narrative options there. My problem is that there's too many options. Because I played, I think it was Edge of the Empire, where your outcomes are always, or can be tilted by good or bad outcomes. And the first couple of times it's like, oh, you failed hacking the door, but instead you managed to secure this small pile of credits. Or you succeeded hacking the door, but maybe you tripped a silent alarm. Something like that. There's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with that, but it gets really, really tiring as a GM. If every roll requires your input to make something work, it's just tiring, and I'm not a fan of it. There you go. But some people really like it. I'm just not one of those people. Let's see. We'll just flip through a couple more pages. This is a pretty meaty book. It does you okay. One thing that I also think is really funny about this system in particular is it uses standard move and free actions, kind of like Pathfinder does. And to me, that's just kind of funny when you're applying Pathfinder logic to a pony game. That is funny to me. I can't fully express why it's so funny to me. It's just something about tactical ponies is funny. Now, if you're just trying to adapt the system over, then yeah, that makes perfect sense. But if you're trying to make kind of a new system from scratch, but you're still adapting all the tactical terms, I don't know, it's a little funny to me. It's a little funny. Let's see, we have some conflicts. Just, you know, a lot of fun stuff in here to play with. Nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary. But just good. And here's where a lot of the books that are from the thumbnail are on. There's like 5 or 6 of them. However, now, to round it off, we're going to talk about... Oh, baby. We are going to talk about the behemoth that is Pony Finder. Because I have such mad respect for this guy. All right, guys. Pony Finder in all of its glory. We're going to talk about Pony Finder. Hold on, I got to move the shorts stream over just a little bit. So, Pony Finder is this fascinating system that is kind of an adaptation of, well, it's not kind of, it straight up is. It's an adaptation of the Pathfinder role-playing system for My Little Pony. It's quite literally what it is. It's amazing. I don't even know how to describe this. Hold on, I need to resize this a little bit. Apparently doesn't all fit. There we go. Okay, that should fit a little bit better. So here is Pony Finder, made by Silver Games LLC. This guy is a madman. I genuinely don't know how he has put out this much stuff, because, so as you guys know, I put out a little poll at the beginning of the stream that said, how many RPG books do you think exist for this system? And you know, most people are like 15 or more, but like you haven't seen that many, right? You've only seen, like, you know, I've talked about maybe 7 or 8. Let me show you guys. Let me show you. All of the My Little Pony books this guy has put out. Look at all of them. There's so many. Look, this is all by one dude. Four pages of books, of campaign settings, of races, of adventure. Like, this guy is a madman. Are these official? Well, I mean, they're official for Pathfinder, technically. They're not licensed by Hasbro, but that, like, he made his own campaign system, his own world for pony stuff. It doesn't use any official art. It's all custom stuff. So he literally just made a My Little Pony game that is not My Little Pony, but has evolved into this point where there's horse races, there's like spirit races, there's sea pony, there's so much stuff. It's actually mind-boggling how much content this guy has put out. Dragons of Everglow. I think Everglow is the name of his campaign setting. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this guy is like low-key my hero. This guy is my hero for just how much stuff he has put out into the world. And like, it sells. He's got a following. He's got people who play the game. He has adapted so much material that like, you could play these long, huge narrative campaigns all within Pony Finder because it just works. It's actually crazy to me. I only own the core rulebook because I was so fascinated when I saw this that I needed to buy it. But like, it's just fascinating. This guy is amazing. I love this. But Pony Finder is literally, there's probably thousands, like legitimately thousands of pages of Pony Finder material, which is insane. I love this guy. Such mad respect. I couldn't talk without the MLP stuff without bringing up this guy, because this guy is such a mad lad. I love him so much. He's so good. So fantastic. It's so good. Sorry, I'm getting giddy because, like, as you guys know, I did a little bit of publishing in the past. Never really went with it. I didn't do too much with it. Like, I tried it for like a year. I put out a decent amount of stuff. I think I put out like 100 pages of Pathfinder 2 material. Not all of it was great, but you know, it was okay. And this guy started around the same time I did, and just to see him stick with it and create just this massive empire of stuff is honestly, the dedication is just amazing to me. It's just amazing. Yeah, there you go. Whoa, oh. I'm hiccuping. That felt weird. That hurt a little bit. But there you guys go. Now you know. Most I've done is homebrew for 5e. Yeah, this guy took homebrew to a whole new level. Apparently, he's also writing novels now in the system that he made. This guy is life goals. Because honestly, this is what low-key guys, this is kind of what I want to do the end of this year. Is I want to get into like making my own system and then just making stuff for it. Because I have a lot of ideas of things that I want to try and just put out into the world. And this guy did it. This guy, like I said, this guy is just awesome. I met him at a convention once. Turns his campaigns into books, right? Like, you gotta be inspired by this a little bit. If you're like a D&D nerd, you gotta at least be somewhat inspired by this. I think this is so cool. I wish I had this level of dedication for literally anything, right? This guy, he is just cool. So good. So, and you know what? The funny thing is, does it still show you? Oh, it does show you previews. I feel like, and the crazy thing is, like, this isn't even that difficult to make, like, this style of stuff. My big issue, and this was something that I always had problems with, is editing. I am so terrible at editing anything when it comes to like text that I would basically have to hire an editor to make sure that they read the whole thing and tell me all the problems that need to be fixed, because I don't trust myself to do it. It's always been a problem for me. Like, minor details are so hard for me to really hammer out all the time. Like, see, this isn't even that complex. It's just like, it's a good It's a nice layout. It's just nice text, nice font. It just works. It just works. Oh, good times, good times. Well, there you go. That's my Little Pony role-playing games tiff for the day. There's not a ton to talk about with these systems. They just kind of do their things. Like, I mean, we could do like a whole thing about Pony Finder by itself, because Pony Finder is ridiculous. But as for the other systems, I just wanted to talk about Tales of Equestria. I know it's not for everyone, but I enjoyed it. I think that level of rules light system is a lot of fun. It can definitely help get you into games. And yeah. I don't know, that's it. I didn't really have much more planned for the day. Like I said, next week is either going to be Daggerheart, which we'll probably talk a lot more about, or 5th edition. I'm currently reading through Daggerheart, so 5th edition might be 2 weeks from now, but one of those two will be there next week, and it'll be fun. As always, we have membership stream tomorrow, where I'll talk about some upcoming projects and things like that. We have Tuesday yapping stream, which is just our yapping stream. Wednesday, I'm gonna try to get something put together for that. Do you have any plans to cover specific campaigns or just systems? Oh, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Covering campaigns could be a lot of fun. The problem with covering campaigns, though, is I feel like you're basically just spoiling the campaign, right? I don't know. Would people be interested in that? Is like me reading through adventure paths, like for Pathfinder or D&D, and then like recapping the whole thing? Is that something that people are actually interested in? Because like I'm not opposed to doing it. Those would actually make probably pretty good video content too. I'll think about it. There are some campaigns that I have ran through that are really fun. Others that I think I would avoid in the future. Oh, maybe that will. I wonder how much of that can I show on screen though. Probably not a lot. I don't know, I should reach out to Paizo and be like, hey, I want to do a video series running through adventure paths. Would it be okay for me to show some of the stuff on screen? And see what they say. I'll probably just say, no, you can't. But I'm not making an MLP RPG game. We were just talking about Empress, but welcome on in. I don't know. I should reach out and see what they say, you know? Worst case scenario, they say no. And then I just have to draw everything by hand. But like, best case scenario, they say, yeah, sure, go for it. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. But I think I'm going to call it there for today. I kind of did everything that I set out to do. And I know these streams are a little bit shorter these days, but I don't know, it feels nice to sit down and do the whole. We have a concise idea, we do it. It's in and out, quick adventure. Because Tuesday and Wednesday are like our yapping days streams, so I like Saturday streams to be a little bit more focused and stuff like that. But I hope you all enjoyed. You're finally probably free from MLP content. I've talked about all the episodes. I've talked about the role-playing system. Actually, no, that's not quite true. You might not be free. One of these days, I'm going to talk about the card game. And then you will actually be free, because I will have said everything that I could possibly say about it, and it'll be great and it'll be wonderful. Thanks for the pre-D&D entertainment. I got you. But I think we're gonna call it there. Pokemon. Oh, I should do the Pokemon TTRPG. Trust me, guys. There is no limit to RPGs. There are so many that I can go over, and I do really want to do these like once a week. I think that that's a lot of fun. But we're gonna call it there. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks to Ame for joining the membership, and just all of you wonderful people for being here. And I'm actually gonna go play D&D myself here in just a little bit. So I will see you all later. Thanks. Bye-bye.